Hey, creative ones, it's Melissa. How's everyone doing? Sending much love to you. How's everyone feeling? Hey, David Gallagher. How's it going? So I wanna, actually forgot to put a title to this, but it's been an intense week. If you have been moving through a lot of density, a lot of unprocessed emotion that is coming up to be, it's so interesting to see how people are relating to this. And I want to really offer my perspective. But if you're moving through a lot of density and you've been feeling like crap in the physical body and the emotional body and the energetic body, first of all, you're not alone. So I want to say that. And second of all, what's my perspective of what's going on, because I was in it too. Like, I moved through so much density this week. And I want to preface this by saying it was really interesting, and I'm downloading it right now. I did a video a year ago today on Facebook talking about this exact thing, which reminds me that we live in a hologram and time is kind of an illusion, because it was almost like my past self giving me the guidance, my own guidance, my higher self guidance for what I was moving through in great intensity myself today or this week, right? So you'll notice that every time you go through an energetic upgrade, whether it's coming from these universal forces that are hitting the planet right now, inviting us to evolve, right? And to a greater state of consciousness and evolutionary growth. Or whether, it doesn't really matter, so within, so without. It doesn't matter really if it's coming from your own spiritual evolutionary growth cycle. Of course, we're all connected. We're connected universally, and there's a great shift going on in the collective. So it's happening within you. It's happening also from outside, and in these universal forces, right? But what I felt really called to share, so you'll go through, my experience is you'll go through, and it's really interesting because I can see it now. It's so accelerated, right? Like, my message is the same as it has been for years. We're just moving through this at a greater acceleration, global acceleration, to support this shift in consciousness. So if you're moving through a lot of intensity, be really mindful of the stories that you create around it, because that's there really just to distract you from feeling it. And, I've done it too. I've been right there with you, right? My ego mind, my inner critic, my resistance to actually dropping into my heart and actually feeling what's coming up without judgment, with love, with presence, with resolution, is actually what allows us to release. The stuff that's coming up is coming up because you are ready to metabolize it, right? So it really, and if you've worked with me doing alchemy, it really doesn't matter if it's a past life, if it happened in your childhood, if it's your grandmother's, if it's one of your parents, if it's one of your ancestors, if it's centuries ago, even if it's your neighbors, right? Which it usually isn't. It's usually somewhere cellularly that we are being called to evolve through our multidimensionality. So, super, super important that we really get this. It doesn't matter. It's just asking for you to love it. So love the shit out of your shadow, right? Love it. That's the message I have for you today. Love the shit out of your shadow. Because we have this misperception that the shadow is this bad, dark, evil force. No. The shadow is the wounded inner child, right? Or these limited belief systems, these programs, this conditioning, this repressed emotion, right? That just wants to be felt, that wants to be seen, that wants to be heard, that wants your presence. And the only way to evolve it, nobody can do this for you. No energy worker can do this for you. right? They can hold space for you and they can support in lifting you into a higher vibration. But at the end of the day, your heart has to do the work. That's the alchemy of the heart, right? So there's so much that I want to say about this, but so it's really about calling you to drop the stories, drop the beliefs about what's happening. You know, it's not psychic attack. If you're being psychically attacked, it's because you hold a vibrational match in your own energetic that's triggering you, right? To make a change, to evolve, to feel, right? Like if somebody's angry at you, there's some resentment and anger, right? Within you, like deep, deep anger and resentment that you are being called to evolve. Anger is not the devil, right? Anger is not a bad thing. Hey, eagle signals. Anger is not a bad thing. But we block our heart. We block our clarity. We block our passion in action when we hold on, when we don't allow ourselves to feel the anger or the grief, right? This is alchemy of the heart. Our true power, our true co-creative power is in the heart, right? It's in our ability to love our own shadow. Truly, truly. And that's why I love painting. You know, that's why I love paint as alchemy, because it's multidimensional, but it allows you to feel it and to express it and to release it on a cellular level in a multidimensional way, right? Because it has a physical release. What else do I want to say about that? Any questions about that? Any thoughts? Okay, the other thing that I want to say, so love the shit out of your shadow, drop everything. The highest way to receive, to elevate, to rewire is to drop and get present with whatever discomfort is coming up for you. It's not to distract yourself with social media. It's not to distract yourself with outside guidance even. Of course, if you need support for some really big traumas, like book a session, find a facilitator that you trust, right? That's going to support you. And that also has the consciousness that with which to facilitate that transformation. I want to talk about that in a minute. And feel free to, the link is in my bio if you want a session. Of course, always, like there's been some deep shit that I've had to really I couldn't hold space for myself. I needed somebody else to hold that space for me, right? What else do I want to say about that? There's so much. Any questions about that, or can you feel me? You know what? So if you're moving through some heavy stuff, and if the outside world is distracting you from going within, do what you need to do to cocoon so that you can create that sense of safety within yourself, whether that's a hired facilitator or a retreat or something that you can do. In fact, that's what came out of my own journey this week, was clarity on what I really want to do and feel called to do, which is called the Cocoon Retreat. It'll be here in Bali, and it's extended retreats for people to come and cocoon, like really get the support where all your basic needs, I mean, that's basically what we've had. All of your basic needs are provided for, and you're in this incredibly beautiful natural environment, and you're supported on every level to do this deep work, right? So that you can write your book, so that you can birth your next level, so that you can get your gifts out into the world, so you can release this trauma and transmute this density that's coming up, these old belief systems, right? That's the highest level of service that you can offer the world right now. So if you're interested in coming to Bali, private message me about that for sure. So much I want to say, but I think for now, the two messages that came through really loud were love the shit out of your shadow, right? Love the shit out of your shadow. Drop everything and drop within and just get present. That's all you have to do. Of course, painting and, Tapping is another great multidimensional. I love tapping with Brad. He's super cool. And sometimes I use my quantum tools with other quantum tools. I love Melanie Tonya Evans' narcissistic abuse quantum freedom healing process is incredible. I've done it for years. I've integrated it with creative alchemy. It has been a lifesaver for me, a life changer for me in my own evolutionary growth. Of course, it's for me, I had to move it. I have to work with the physical body because I know trauma gets stored in the body. So if you really want to fully release, energy work by itself really it's almost like a symptom. It'll just, take care of the symptom. It's like a little remedy. Okay, so with that brings me to my next message, right, for you, which is the remedy is only as effective as the level of consciousness that created it. That goes for vaccines, right? That goes for science. I was talking about this with a friend here last night. It's like, science and research, and, Sasha Stone and who else? David Wolf. Definitely go check them out. They just did a great video and they were talking about this. It's like, and it just, I've known this for so long because I've seen it and it was just mirrored back to me. It's like, science is only as effective as the consciousness that is actually doing the research, right? As the intention, right? So that's true for any remedy, healing remedy or transformation or facilitator. It's only going to be as effective as the consciousness that's facilitating it, that's creating it. It doesn't mean that things are good or bad, right? Like what I used 10 years ago to work with, or 20 years ago is not going to be as effective as what I use now, right? It's just, now I'm using quantum tools. Now I'm working multidimensionally. Now it's so much more integrated and accelerated, and it's so much faster too. But the consciousness that created it, whether it's, a vaccine, think about how the virus was created. A healthy person does not die of the virus, right? The virus is a healing crisis for the planet and the person. We're all experiencing this level of transformation and this catalyst in the areas of our life where we get to evolve. Isn't that beautiful? It's so beautiful. Look at your life and see if that's true. Drop me a line, let me know. So, it's a healing crisis. So that's also true with facilitators. And I've experienced this so much. And I even had this experience this week where I was moving through some really dark stuff and I was like in a place of fear, and I looked outside of myself for guidance, and I was quickly reminded, I think it's fine to have other guidance, but if it doesn't resonate, right? If it doesn't align for you. So what happened for me is that I was moving through some shit, and I was feeling overwhelmed, and some stuff with my daughter and being abroad and just a lot, and family and Texas with the snowstorm, and really missing being my country and my community there, and missing Texas. And I was like, I took in some guidance that was not aligned for me. That was, and it was so beautiful because actually the whole process, I was able to move through that, see the pattern, receive the gift. This is the loving your, love the shit out of your shadow thing, right? So I went through the experience because what I did is I took the guidance of somebody that didn't have the consciousness or the shadow evolution, let's say, of my own experience, didn't know my path, my calling, my consciousness, right? And so I took that on, and I saw the future timeline if I were to make that choice. And I knew it didn't resonate for me. It didn't resonate. It didn't feel right. And I took it on, and I went through that experience, and then I was able to course correct and say, oh my God, this is what I did. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust what was right for me. I made a decision out of fear. I went against my own guidance, right? I had to quickly forgive myself, quickly course correct, quickly let go of any outcomes. But that's how we timeline jump, right? And that's how, the more density that you clear, the more shadow that you can love, that you can integrate, that you can transmute, the less people can manipulate you, the less afraid you are, right? When you face your own fears, which is really what the shadow is really just showing you. It's just reflecting you, your deepest fears, your deepest traumas, your deepest separation from source, from your creator source, right? So this had a lot to do with my daughter, and my fears around my daughter, and layers, and actually probably really committing to being in Indonesia for the next couple of years, because we are starting a business here, and our visas are about to come through for that. I mean, like any day now. We were supposed to go to immigration today, which is super exciting. But like I see now in hindsight, it was just my own resistance to really fully committing to my vision, to my calling. And anyway, long story short, I had to go through the process, course correct, forgive myself, forgive others, practice, and which really brought me to a greater place of discernment and love and clarity. And what else did it give me? The moment I course corrected, things started to shift, right? So that's the other thing. And the momentum, the clarity, the signs, yeah. And I got, oh wow, no, this is aligned. This feels good. So there's a lot of that going on right now. There's so many potentials happening in the quantum right now. And that's what a timeline is. It's a potential. So you make a choice, and that's a timeline. And you can make a choice, and if you're super psychic, if you're super intuitive, like if you've transmuted a lot of this, and everyone has this capacity, there aren't special people that are more creative or more intuitive than others. Everybody has those gifts, and it's just you're more developed in those areas, right? You either brought them in from a past life, from your lineage, probably a combination of both. That's what was supported or unsupported in your family of origin, and that too can be part of your shadow, right? Like if your creative, psychic, intuitive, highly intuitive, empathic gifts were not supported and were attacked as a child, that's your shadow. That's why so many starseeds and intuitives, and empaths have to go through that dark night of the soul and really reclaim the power and the value and creatives of your gifts, right? Because you can't look for the outside validation to really own your power. Yeah, it has to come from within and from your connection to source and knowing. And that's true with abundance as well. In abundance, I'm going to do a whole separate video on that, because that really takes on separate forms. Like money is just one form of abundance, and we're so fucked up about that in our head because we've made it our God in our culture. We're seeing a lot of that right now dismantle through love and truth, and people really doing it's not that money is bad. It's not that it's good. It's really just a neutral resource, but there are many, many resources and available when you are connected to your own creative source and your path and your heart. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to chat about today. Drop me a line. Like, I want to hear from you. What questions do you have for me? I'm actually going to go paint in the studio. I'm so excited. I haven't painted. We didn't paint last week for some reason, probably because I was moving through such stuff. And, but I usually paint to move through it. But drop me a line. Let me know what questions are coming up for you. What's coming up for you? Does this resonate? I think the big messages are, and I just want to repeat them, love the shit out of your shadow. And any remedy is as effective as the consciousness that created it. Whether that's a facilitator, a coach, a catalyst, a mentor, a healing tool, right? Experience, a retreat, right? So it's only going to be as effective as the consciousness that created it. So that's really important. So that also goes for the vaccines, for different remedies, really, really important. Because sometimes something in your own psyche can be, that's why I call myself an activator and an alchemist, because I can work with people and just being in my field. Hey, Melinda, what's up, sister? So lovely to have you here. Right? So the message is, any remedy is only effective as the consciousness that created it. If you feel called, for example, to take the vaccine, I don't think the vaccine is good or bad. I think it really depends on your consciousness and your relationship to it and your beliefs around it, right? I would do some research. I do think that I wouldn't say that a lot of thoughts about that, but this video is not about whether the vaccine is right or wrong for you. I can't make that decision for you, but I would encourage you to go really research how it affects your DNA. And all I'm going to say is there's so much that we don't know about the effects of a lot of these medications. I'll leave it at that. I'm sending you so much love. If you need support, you can download the Creative Alchemy process by going to melissadantoni.com and subscribing, and you will receive the alchemical art activation, which will take you through how to transform the stuff that's coming up for you using paint. The other message I have for you is, the other offering is, if you want a session, link is in bio. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably get the link down there. And then you can also follow me on Telegram. If you want to connect to me on Telegram, it's the same as my handle on Instagram, Melissa R. D'Antoni. What else do I want to say? Hey, Jennifer. And then Alchemy of the Heart. We are going to be doing this for the next 6 weeks, starting March 1st next week. And I'm going to be taking you through, right, how to create a space, a sacred space with intention, with love, in community, with the quantum tools, with the quantum creative tools to transmute quickly, effortlessly, with love, all the stuff that's coming up for you, right? So that you can see clearly through the heart, so that you can be in the power of your own heart, so that you can make conscious choices, so that you can create from a place of love. That's our highest power. Yeah. And of course, also big in this right now for myself included, and for a lot of people, what are you being called to do and pivot in your business? Like, I've had to, through this last couple of weeks too, I've had to ask myself, like, what do I really want to do? Is this, I'm always checking in. Is this part of an old identity that's crumbling around conforming, conform and perform, which is the old 3D way of doing business, and of the old 3D identity, which is rooted in ego and blame shame game and victim perpetrator and, all of those identities, right? All those denser identities which create distortion, which create separation. And a lot of that is our programming, right? In a third dimensional consciousness, from our families that we've inherited in our culture. And again, this is no judgment to our families, because they've had it. They probably had that even worse, right? that programming to conform and perform for survival, right? And that's what we're evolving out of when we do this work. When we do this work, we're evolving out of the beliefs that we are in survival mode into thriving and knowing that the universe supports you. Like in my experience, the universe will support you, to love the shit out of your shadow if you make that choice and you align to your highest love, you align to your highest soul's purpose. You will be supported to create the space to do that because it's in highest service to humanity and creation. Why wouldn't it be? Yeah? But you have to let go of those survival programs in order to do that. And that's what we're going to do in Journey of the Heart, right? So there's a lot of abundance rewiring that happens in that because it really is ultimately about love and presence and integration. So that will be a big benefit of doing this work now is that you can transmute all the stuff that's coming up so you can see clearly and you can start mastering your own alchemy and how to see from the heart and to get super clear on how you are being called and where you're being called to contribute at this time and how life wants to move through you and create through you. I'm sending you so much love. Much love to you. Bye for now.